Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jamesville-DeWitt Central High School here in DeWitt, New York, for this quarterfinal matchup in the 2022 sectional tournament between the Homer Trojans and the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. Hi everybody, Sam Gelfand here, the voice of the Red Rams, alongside my broadcast partner Tyler Aitken. And this is going to be very exciting. Both of these teams pretty evenly matched, and really anyone could come away with a win here today.
Yeah, both of these teams have one thing that they're very good at. JD's defense has been stifling all year long. Homer has a very good, very consistent offense, so it'll be interesting to see who wins that Clash of the Titans.
Of course, I think the thing to keep in mind, we'll talk about it all game, is the fact that Homer has played an equal schedule between Class C and Class D, whereas the Red Rams have mostly been playing at a Class B schedule all season. Now, that's not to harp on any Class D teams. There are some very good Class D teams out there, but you have to imagine, just based on classification, that the Red Rams have more big game experience.
Exactly. When it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to the sectional quarterfinals, you want all the experience, all the playoff experience, all the times you've played against the great teams to come back and help you out. So JD might have that little advantage today.
JD is the 4 seed in the sectional tournament. Homer is the 5 seed. Coming up after this on Tuesday will be the sectional semifinals, and then later next week will be the finals. It's entirely possible that one of these teams could reach there.
Exactly. Next matchup will be very difficult. CBA is the likely opponent for the winner of this matchup, and CBA is a very talented team, but I do feel either of these teams could take them down on the right day. In lacrosse, it really is any man's game.
The Red Rams did beat CBA for the sectional championship last year, as we're just about ready to get started. Alex Binsack will take the face-off for the Red Rams. And for Homer, it will be Tucker Gabriel. We are underway, and Homer comes up with it. They have first possession. It goes to Liam O'Connor, who is quickly beaten back by the JD defense. And this defense will be the defining characteristic of the JD team today.
And not just statistically, too. They have such an identity. Our last home game that we broadcasted was JD versus ESM, and there was a time where 3 JD defenders were able to defend an entire attacking ESM squad, even though it was a 3 times penalty play. They worked well together so much this year, and they really have that kind of grit, that physicality that could force Homer to struggle today.
Yeah, I have never seen a team not give up a goal with 3 men down, until the Red Rams did it a few days ago. Absolutely insane. Now here are the Trojans. That's Wyatt Wilbur, who finds Lucas Quinn in the corner. Reed Pardis, also part of this offense. Homer's going to have some big weapons to watch out for. Taking the shot is Jake Calabro, who is outmatched by Ian McIntyre.
That was a great spin move by Calabro, but McIntyre is a brick wall. He has been for the last several games. He's saving about 60% of all shots sent his way this season, which is very impressive for a junior.
Very impressive for any goalie. As there's the defense getting physical, you have to wonder if they've learned any lessons from that extremely physical game against ESM as the Red Rams on attack. Sam Brazel with the spin move, but he's knocked down. Maintains control of the ball, though. Gives it over to Matt Keeler, and he was nearly in trouble, but what stick control to maintain possession despite a little slip-up like that.
As he was falling, too, it's very impressive, but they're playing against a very big Homer defense. Just look at some of those guys out there. There's some 6'2", 6'3" defenders that weigh over 200 pounds. That's difficult to kind of body your way towards the goal.
The Red Rams are not a team who have much size, but they are a team that has a lot of speed and a lot of heart. As that ball goes battling into the corner. And it looks like Homer gets possession. We thank each and every one of you for joining us for this early Saturday morning edition of JD TV. As Hunter Reelman, who will be one of the players to seriously watch out for today. Gives it to Wyatt Wilbur.
And both teams certainly taking it slow. The last time they matched up was 2017, so they really have to feel each other out and kind of get used to playing each other again.
That being said, the last time they played each other was in the 2017 Sectional Championship. JD won that game by a single goal. And McIntyre deflects another shot. And McIntyre is in the same form as we're used to seeing him so far. There is no tougher test for any offense than Ian McIntyre in the entirety of Section 3. I would go out on a limb and say he is the best goalie in Section 3 right now.
Exactly, and there's a reason he's headed to Florida Southern in 2 years. One of the best D2 programs in the nation.
In just about any sport, actually. Swimming around, and Homer finally gets one on the board after many attempts. It's Hunter Reelman.
And he did such a good job there of weaving through this defense. Beautiful spin move there. And that's a great way to start the day for Homer. It's certainly been a slower start to the game for both teams so far, but Homer's happy to have the first score on the board.
Reelman with 48 goals this season now. The junior attacker has certainly made his mark out on the field, as has Tucker Gabriel, who gets his second face-off of the day. He's 2 for 2. Now it's Sam Bieber. And Homer can afford to take it a little bit slower, especially since we've got a change for both sides coming in now. That's Ryan Brazel and Matt Keeler, it looks like. Michael Stiles currently controlling. And now that's Jake Calabro, 6'1", 170. He's a physical presence, but McIntyre able to keep it out of harm's way. The Red Rams' defense may be their saving grace today, but they cannot afford to spend too much time on defense. That's the issue we saw in that game against Victor.
No, they can't. And one thing that we also have to keep in mind here is that Homer's defense, we said, not as great as Jamesville-DeWitt, and while that may be true, they are very consistent. They haven't allowed more than 12 goals in a game all season long. So, yes, they might allow more on average than JD, but there's certainly no slouches, and JD is not going to blow up this game and score 20 like they sometimes do.
That interception by Michael Stiles will certainly help their case. Bieber passes it out, finds Calabro. Calabro matched up with Aiden Bates and has to dish it out. Now it's Evan Butts. Butts using his size to his advantage, but the shot is low and to the right.
And one thing I've noticed so far is that Homer's gotten a lot of pretty decent shot opportunities. They've been very lucky that McIntyre's been there to save the day, but they really need to force Homer to the outside more because they're getting a lot of straight-on shots.
A massive hit there by the Red Rams results in a stoppage of play. And, you know, it's a common thread we've seen for the past few games this season. I think that early on that was a penalty, by the way, and now Homer's going to be a man up. I think that a lot of teams realized earlier in the season that McIntyre's weakness in goal was the bounce shot, trying to hit it low. But McIntyre has spent so much time putting in the reps to work on defending those bounce shots that you really can't say it's a weakness of his anymore.
No, I don't. There's not really a visible weakness in his game, in my opinion, at all. He's not like the best goalie in the country, but you said it earlier, he might be the best goalie in this tournament.
100%, and so teams are still trying those bouncers, thinking that he'll be a little bit weaker because they're watching older tape. But he's really firmed up that side of his defense as of late. So Homer just passing it around, trying to find an opportunity. Here comes one, and they take advantage of it. Once again, it's Hunter Reelman.
Hunter Reelman, just so talented. That's his 49th goal of the season, and a good little swim move there. JD just can't seem to defend on these one-on-one opportunities. That's 2 goals unassisted, where Reelman has just taken a defender one-on-one and worked through him. I think at this point you have to start thinking, do they double team him a little bit?
I think you have to. I mean, Homer's now up 2-0, which is the same point that we saw in the first quarter of last game against ESM. They ended up double-teaming Jackson Palem, and it certainly helped. Let's take a look at how these two teams are doing this season now. They have almost equal records, 11-5 and 10-5. Almost equal ratings, so the Red Rams have 1 point over the Trojans. Their strength of schedule is just about the same too, which is something else considering the Red Rams usually play a much tougher class of opponent, though we'll talk a little bit later about why that may be a little bit misleading, this statistic. The Red Rams have the edge in goal difference. The Red Rams tend to outscore their opponents by almost 4 goals a game, 3 goals for the Trojans, and as a result, the Red Rams are ranked higher in Section 3, 8th instead of 10th. And that's Section 3 regardless of class, I should clarify.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams are very evenly matched. We did talk earlier about the strength of schedule, how that could be a little misleading, but one thing we did talk about last week in the JD-ESM game is that some of these lower classes do have a lot of depth. So even though they're taking on a lot of Class D schools, they're taking on good Class D schools. So they're certainly still taking on a lot of talent. It might not just be the size or caliber of program that JD has faced this year.
Oh, 100%. I mean, their last game, Homer, was against Marcellus, who is an athletic powerhouse regardless of the sport. They were actually upset earlier in the year by Cazenovia.
And Cazenovia is certainly not a slouch of a program either.
So the Red Rams' first time out has expired, 5:52 on the clock. And Homer up 2-0. Much slower, more methodical face-off than we've usually seen. Looks like 2 people trying to turn a wrench. I have never seen a face-off take this long.
Love to see the grittiness. It's still on the floor, hot potato.
And eventually, Tucker Gabriel comes up with it, so he's 3 for 3. Tries to take the shot himself, and that was ill-advised, flying well to the right.
And that's such a mistake because Homer has dominated the time of possession today, largely because of winning those face-offs. And to just throw away an opportunity and give JD the ball back is just simply a mistake that they will want to have back later.
And now the Red Rams must take advantage of this opportunity. Mario Strife passes it out, gets it back. Sends it to Gannon Kessler with 39 goals, 26 assists on the season. If you're new to JDTV, him and Sam Brazel will be the 2 scorers to watch out for Jamesville-DeWitt. Strife to Brazel. Triple teamed is Brazel from the looks of things. And probably wisely so.
Exactly, but he has such passing ability. We saw with the game-winning assists against DSM to Matt Keeler. He might get triple teamed, but he knows when to give it up to result in a score.
And there was a good example, though. Eli Goldberg's shot is to the left and off the mark. Goldberg's put up 20 goals himself, nothing to sneeze at. One thing that you can note about the Red Rams is that their scoring is much more spread out than Homer's is. Homer's scoring is really concentrated within 4 players or so, whereas easily 75% of this Red Rams team has at least 1 goal on the season.
Exactly. Last game against Fulton, we saw Ben Schellinger get a goal. We saw Mo Hajari get a goal, and both of those guys scored for the first time this season. So JD certainly likes to share the ball.
First time in their varsity careers, actually. You love to see it. JDTV superfan Mo Hajari.
Surprised he's not commenting on our live stream from the sideline.
Well, electronic devices are banned on the sideline, so he couldn't, unfortunately. But you know, if he was allowed to, he would be.
Yeah, if anyone could find a way, it would be Mo Hajari.
Plus, you'd think Max McCall would be in the comment section, as he often is. As I believe his brother is making his varsity debut today. Not his brother. Different McCall. Different McCall is making his varsity debut today. We got more than one McCall in this school? And the low shot by Sam Brazel rolls into the goal.
What a delayed reaction, not just by us, but by Brazel himself. He wasn't even sure if that went in.
Well, Ben Bradshaw had it, and he lost it. Lost it in the morning sun, perhaps.
Wow. That is one way to score a goal, Sam.
There are many of them, and that's sure one of them. You had it, you had it, you had it, you lost it. Honestly, your heart kind of breaks for Ben Bradshaw.
That's difficult, but you have to be really mindful in the goal, just moving around one little bit when the ball's on the ground. Things can go poorly fast. One thing we were mentioning, the comment section. We do have a comment section. We'll be watching it all game. So if you have anything to say about the game, about the teams, about us as broadcasters, please let us know. There's a chance we might read it out on air.
If we like it, anyway.
If we like it.
So, give us something good.
4 face-off wins by Homer. They've been completely dominating that portion of this game so far.
Well, Alex Bensack has had very big shoes to fill this season. We've talked about it all year. Scott Reeves, who's now at St. John Fisher, had a .955 face-off percentage for the Red Rams last year as the Red Rams force a turnover and almost turn it right back over, though Keeler recovers. And living up to that reputation of a .955 safe face-off percentage, just about impossible. .550 is not bad, but it's not going to be anywhere near that level, and he has struggled against some of the more elite face-off men in Section 3.
And it's difficult because this is his first year on varsity, so maybe if someone like Reeves wasn't there, he would get reps last year. He would start to get reps as a sophomore, but this has really been his first year of experience.
Perhaps if he was able to study under Scott Reeves for a little bit before coming up to varsity, it would have benefited him. But that's the past. Nothing you can do about that now. As Matt Keeler playing point guard as always, he just lives for those field general moments. Boy, does he love bossing people around. He'll be an excellent manager one day. Now from behind the X, Brazel gives it to Bates, and it hits the edge of a defenseman's stick.
And just some missed opportunities there. Eli Goldberg was wide open right in front of the goal, and he just didn't get the ball. I think JD's missing a few clear passes here, and that could be because of how much pressure Homer's putting on them.
And it's also a very young team, JD. We've talked about that all year as well. Might as well bring out all the greatest hits in sectional competition. And with youth comes inexperience, and with inexperience comes a lack of team chemistry. And the best teams know where everyone's going to be with their eyes closed. And that's not necessarily the case when this is the first time most of these players have really shared a team together.
Exactly. We did talk about the advantage strength of schedule might play in this game, but age might play a difference in this game. The best player on JD is a sophomore. Best player on Homer is a junior and then a senior as well. So they definitely have more experience at the top of their team.
Homer is almost entirely juniors and seniors, just about 3 or 4 sophomores, whereas the Red Rams are almost entirely sophomores and juniors. A little bit of stop and go, and now the Red Rams will get the ball. Homer's called up a couple of players as well for this game. Colin Murphy, the new backup goalie. Don't know if we'll see him. Maybe if this becomes a blowout, but that's not looking likely with the way this game's going.
No, these last few games for the Red Rams, at home at least, have been slow, gritty face-offs where they take it to the end and not a lot of scoring.
No, most of these last few games at home have had under 10 goals for each team. And under so much pressure was Eli Goldberg. He draws the flag. It was pretty impressive he was able to get a shot off at all.
It was. He was fading away, defender right on top of him. The fact that he got it off was impressive, and it works because I don't think if he hadn't shot that, there might not have been a flag that came out. So it was a smart, mature play to make sure you're going to get a man-up opportunity if you're JD.
And now with 28 seconds left in the first quarter, the Red Rams will get to finish out the first quarter one man up. And the Red Rams have not had too many man-up opportunities this year. They're going to have to take advantage of this one. For the most part, their opponents have played pretty clean games as Sam Brazel fires a rocket deflected by Ben Bradshaw.
And Taven Malchak played some really good defense, forcing him to go high there, and I think he wanted to go low. Homer, that's what they've been doing all day, forcing JD to do what they don't want to do.
And another save by Bradshaw. That one hit the base of his stick rather than the net itself. And Homer prevents the Red Rams from getting that man-up goal. It's 2-1 as we head to quarter number 2.
This reminds me exactly of what we saw against ESM last week. JD came out on top of that game 7-6. They know how to come from behind. They know how to play in those situations, but it's certainly not a place that they feel comfortable in.
No, certainly not. I mean, we just saw with the last game against ESM, the Red Rams win 7-6. We were talking about those low-scoring games, and they scored that game-winning goal with 9 seconds remaining, which was exciting for us, but nerve-wracking if you're down on the field.
Exactly. They don't love to play in close games. No team does, and I think it struggles when they're such a defensive-minded team that when you need a goal in clutch time, that's not really where JD loves to be. They'd rather have a few goal lead and just be able to waste time and play really good defense because that's what they're good at. But right now, they're not really able to. They have to put a lot of pressure on their offense, play quick. That's not JD's style of play.
And let's talk a little bit about why the Red Rams have played so many close games as we go to our team profile for the day. So we were talking about strength of schedule possibly being a little bit misleading. So here's each team's schedule broken down by class. So you can see the Red Rams are 5-4 against Class B teams. Homer has not even played a Class B team this season. The Red Rams have yet to lose against a Class C team, whereas Homer is 4-3 against them. And the Trojans have played 7 Class D teams, in which they're 6-1. The Red Rams are also much better in conference. They finished 9-1 as SCAC Empire Conference champions. The Trojans finished 3rd in the OHSL Liberty Conference. We are underway with quarter number 2. And the Red Rams get their first face-off win of the day. Only took a whole quarter.
Exactly. It was all Homer on offense in that first quarter. We barely got to see players like Sam Brazel get opportunities to shoot. He maybe shot once or twice.
And there's what happens when you get opportunities. Sam Brazel with goal number 2 today.
Look at that. Matt Keeler, pass over, and just shoots it right away. He had been trying to work into the defense a little bit more earlier, but they're so big. So it's easier for him to stay back, not force the contact, and take a shot from afar. He did it very, very successfully.
And that's the thing about Sam Brazel is that he has such accuracy that he can hit smoking shots from 20 yards out.
And when you're a smaller player against such a big defense, it's the smarter play. JD needs to keep giving him opportunities by winning these faceoffs, and they just did it there. That's 2 in a row.
And the Red Rams just about ran over Tucker Gabriel. And so there's discussion over who that's going to go to, and referee says, well, that's a Homer faceoff win. Because of the penalty committed by Alex Binsack, he got a little too physical for his liking.
It was a late whistle, late motion. And JD can't afford to keep losing these. They've only been successful today when they've had enough time to work that ball around. And winning faceoffs is so key to that. If they keep losing faceoffs, could be a rough day for JD.
And the Red Rams have been in foul trouble this entire season as well. They have played a little sloppily. They've given themselves many man-down disadvantages. As there's a few more penalties, 2 flags, 3 flags fly. McIntyre with the stop, but I think that one's coming back.
And just not a smart slash there by Mario Strife. He came in with a tomahawk-type hit right near the head of the offensive player, and they're going to call you for that every single time. You got to be mindful on the difference between physicality and penalties.
Brazil, Strife, and I believe the other Brazil all head back to the bench. So the Red Rams certainly playing at disadvantage now. I think they might be 2 men down again.
Looks like it's just Strife taking
Just
a knee,
Strife.
but it's a 2-minute penalty, I believe is what the ref was signaling, which gives Homer plenty of opportunity to score here. Of course, JD very comfortable playing a man down on defense, but nonetheless, Homer has a chance.
A man down on defense against the Red Rams pretty much makes it even. It's like having one hand tied behind your back. Doesn't matter against a Kung Fu master. You ever watch Kung Fu films, Tyler?
I'm not a big Kung Fu films guy.
Really?
I've seen Kung Fu Panda.
That's a good one. As McIntyre flows like water.
What an impressive save. Right over to the right. Looks like might get by, but no. Not on McIntyre.
And Matt Keeler causes the defender to drop his stick. The Red Rams are rolling. Highly recommend the Ip Man series of films. Ip Man. Great stuff. Got Donnie Yen. And a controversial penalty call here.
I believe they called an offsides call. It looked like Ben Schellinger made his way to the other side of the field when he shouldn't have. That's just the type of mistake you can't allow to happen.
And now, once again, the Trojans on offense. It's a tie game, but in terms of time of possession, there's another flag.
And that was another, it looked like it was either a slash or an offsides. I couldn't quite tell, but the ref was looking right at JD when he threw that penalty flag.
The Red Rams cannot be playing like this. This will sink their ship.
So another JD player making his way over to the sideline.
Looks like 11. That's one of the JD call-ups, actually. Andrew Laubenstein. Kind of surprised that they put one of the JV call-ups into the quarterfinal game already.
Me as well. So now, I believe now we are looking at a 2-man down situation for the Red Rams. Looks like Sam Bobrick and Mario Strife are the ones taking a knee in the penalty box. So now 6-on-4 for Homer.
The Red Rams have been here before. That doesn't mean it's any easier. Certainly not against McIntyre, though it's deflected right into the stick. Now Pardis hanging out. It was Logan Goodman with the recovery. Bieber forced off. Pardis drops it, and the Red Rams defense is all over him. Big hit, and the Red Rams recover. The Red Rams all over the Homer Trojans like a big fuzzy blanket.
Their defense almost gets better when they're down a player, and I have to give major props to Matt Keeler. What a heads-up play, because the ball was in the air and no one was looking, but he was ready. He came in and got that clear for the Red Rams.
People say defense isn't exciting. Watch a JD game. You'll quickly change your tune.
The energy and physicality they play with is always entertaining to watch.
These are true defensive highlights. It's a clinic for many other teams in Section 3 to follow. Although I think that many teams are just watching the Red Rams anyway, considering the pedigree of success this team has. Head coach Jamie Archer currently sitting at 298 career wins. If the Red Rams win in the semifinals, that'll be career win number 300 for him.
And also have to give a shout out to Tom Cottrell, the coach of Homer. He reached 250 career wins earlier this month. He's sitting at 253 right now. He's been at this a very long time, and not to the same success as Jamesville-DeWitt, but he's had a very great career with Homer.
And that's part of what makes Coach Archer's record so amazing, as the Red Rams lose out on an opportunity to score, picked up there by Michael Stiles. So that Coach Archer's only been doing this. This is his 16th season. He has only lost 38 games in 16 years.
There are probably some programs in the section that have lost that many games within the last 3 seasons, let alone the last 16.
This is one of the greatest lacrosse programs in the entire country.
I mean, this is the first season that they've lost 5 games since 2004.
2004. That's before you were born, I think.
No, it's not. I'm not
Some
that
of these
young.
guys in here. Mikey Meskos, our producer, was not born in 2004. I mean, y'all make me feel old every single day anyway, so. I don't know. What about you, Nick? Were you born in 2004? No, okay, he was born in 2004. And here I am, born in 1997, feeling like the old man on campus.
Oh, the late 1900s?
Yeah, back in the days of horses and wagons, and there's a massive hit! Tyler Reelman just turned Luke Patchen inside out!
What a hit. I mean, he probably knew it was going to be a penalty, but if I'm Homer, I'm okay with that. You're sending a message there. Look at Ian McIntyre celebrating like crazy on his own side of the ball. There's a lot of hype on both sides of the ball right now. Reelman kind of the yin to Hunter's yang, his brother. Good pairing there. One who scores 49 goals this season, and then Tyler who gets big hits like that.
That was the Reelman Express. Ran over him like a freight train. I mean, if you're going to get the penalty for a big hit like that, you might as well go all the way.
No, you send a message. You tell the JD offense that if they come near you, you're going to get hit. It might cause some apprehension by the offense later on. Anything can help.
So we're underway. The Red Rams have an advantage now, trying to get it right near the goal. Saved by Bradshaw, although another player pushed inside the crease. And that will result in another stoppage. Red Rams maintain possession. Matt Keeler whips it out, and Bradshaw with another save. Gannon Kessler stonewalled.
Good hit there by Matt Keeler. And it's going JD's way.
I do think the Red Rams took a lesson from that ESM game, and they're realizing if we want to win, especially against a team about as good as us, we have to get more physical.
And they've been turning up that dial all season long. We saw ESM hit its climax, and they've continued to turn up since then.
Turn up does Sam Brazel. He pulls up with his second goal, his third goal of the day, a hat trick. A hat trick for Sam Brazel already.
And already what we keep seeing from Sam Brazel is if he runs in and tries to muck it up with those Homer defenders, it's not going to turn out well. But when he just lets it fly from way downtown, he's likely to connect. I would keep doing that if I were JD. Work the ball around in a circle and then find him.
54 goals on the season for Sam Brazel. Why don't we take a look at the JD score report right now? This is a heat map courtesy of Huddle of where the Red Rams have scored from this season. And as you can see, they do better closer to the net, as most teams do, but it's from this point that's actually the lightest, where I think Brazel scored all 3 goals today. In fact, you could probably say it's a little bit more like back here.
It's from way downtown, and it's been working very well. That scoring inside type of play works against some teams. Clearly, it's not going to work against Homer. So you have to give props to Archer and this coaching staff for adjusting in the middle of the game. They realized in that first quarter they cannot get inside and play fancy like they usually do. They have to let it fly from deep and hope for the best.
And, you know, Coach Archer was a legendary midfielder for Syracuse University in the 90s, 2-time All-American. And according to all reports, a couple of JD alumni, as one of them put, and I quote, he has old man strength. And you have to wonder, maybe he's imparting a little bit of that on the Red Rams right now, because apparently he'll still try to match up against them sometimes in practice.
I would not want to take on Archer. He's such a great player and such a great coach too. And anyone that's a dad just immediately gains like 50 pounds worth of strength.
This is true. But I mean, how about two-time All-American lacrosse player dad?
Two-time national champion.
He could probably outlift half of this team.
Yeah. Nimble, too. Top 10 in career assists at Syracuse University, too. So, did a little bit of everything back when he played.
Also a member of the Upstate New York Lacrosse Hall of Fame, class of 2013. And the Superman shot is deflected. Eli Goldberg with great technique, but not great aim.
Yeah, fading away from the goal. He had Jake Calabria right in his face. That's just not going to work out well for you most times.
We've seen him score like that earlier in the season, just perhaps not the best positioning. As Brazel, looking to feed it out, finds Kessler. Kessler has to send it out to Mario Strife. And Strife decides against taking the shot himself. Close to the net, hit from behind. And a very delayed call as Sam Brazel got knocked down.
Tyler Reelman just loves making those big hits, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, he's only 5'9", but he's really relishing it, especially against a smaller team like JD to have a closer size matchup. As a defender, that's when you want to exert your will.
Well, I thought they would have called that a penalty for pushing the JD offensive player into the crease, but no, they gave the ball to Homer. JD says ball don't lie. They steal it back.
What you see on your screen right now is performance plus minus, so this is how well the team performed this season according to their expectations. JD overperformed. Homer actually drastically underperformed. As Brazel with a couple of spin moves can't hit the pass to Goldberg, who is tripped again by Reelman. Actually, that wasn't Reelman. I spoke too soon. But there is a flag that flies.
That was Evan Butts on defense. I certainly don't want to have a 6'2" defender fall on top of me. That does not sound fun.
That's a bit like the Simpsons episode where Marge just blames Bart for everything, even though it's not his fault, because it's a force of habit.
I mean, it does make sense. With Hunter Reelman on offense, Tyler Reelman on defense, you're going to be saying the Reelman name quite a lot today.
A couple of cars on the Reelman Express. And so it'll be Sam Brazel. Couldn't make a Snowpiercer reference. I was thinking about it. That show about that train. Matt Keeler back to Brazel. Slings it low and wide right.
I have no problems with that shot. That's exactly what he needs to be doing. He's been so successful from that exact spot on the turf today. And as long as JD's closest to the end line and they can get the ball back, just keep shooting those if you're Brazel.
The Red Rams have a one-goal lead. Make it two! Sam Brazel with number 4.
The exact same spot. He had one shot, no good. Give it to him again. There you go. He's not going to miss that shot very often.
Oh, Hunter Reelman, you got 2 goals, ratioed.
And if I'm Sam Brazel, I'm just going to keep shooting that until someone stops him because no one's come out to defend that spot. He's missed one, but he's been fairly accurate from there.
Also 2 assists on the day for Matt Keeler, up to 14 now. He's now got more assists than goals.
Gotta love the chemistry between Keeler and Brazel. They were the team that won that ESM game last week.
And that's another face-off to Homer, though the Red Rams had it at first. It's not often you see someone get ratioed in real life. And Ian McIntyre hands out the L. A great low-slung shot, well defended by the Big Mac, but they give it back to Homer.
To the dismay of the fans and team of Jamesville-DeWitt.
Well, these fans get fired up here. The Flock is one of the best sections, one of the best fan sections in Section 3. And knocked down is Jake Calabro. Too fierce of the Red Rams. And Pardis gets a flag for his troubles.
So this situation, you can kind of get aggressive here. It's like when they throw a pass interference or an offsides penalty on defense in the NFL. You can go for a really deep pass.
Or you can just go right up in front of the goal as Jake Calabro does and puts it in, 4-3.
And beautiful move by him. Spin from X. Fading away. There you go. And just like I was saying, they knew they were going to get the ball back even if they missed because the flag was on the ground. So you can play so much more free. It's like in NFL. If the defense is offsides, the play still continues and you can throw a Hail Mary. Because if it gets intercepted, it's right back to you. And just like there with Homer, even if they miss that shot, they're getting the ball back. So props to them for playing really aggressive there. Calabro had a great spin move.
And the Red Rams have a 1-goal lead now. They are playing more aggressively. They're racking up more fouls. That's the downside of this strategy. But we have talked many times over the years here on JDTV. There's some sort of consistent thread, as there's another slow, methodical face-off, that teams, regardless of the sport, teams that play more aggressively tend to win more.
That's very true, and it looks like we're seeing a timeout by Homer after they win the face-off.
Well, they're only down by 1 now, and they want to take the opportunity to start thinking about how they could even this one up, especially considering how close this game's been. You've got less than 3 minutes left in the first half, and you might as well use up these timeouts while you can. So let's talk about the score report or I'll satisfy Nick, the score report. I think it's a better ring score report.
Exactly. It's like the Colbert report.
Exactly. That was what I was thinking. But this is the opponent shot percentage all season against the Red Rams. This is not Homer. This is all teams that the Red Rams have faced. And the big takeaway for me, compared to what we saw in the Red Rams score report, is that from here and here, not a single player has scored against Ian McIntyre.
When he has time to react, he's going to get a stop, and that's been the case all season long. Hasn't changed today one bit. He's played very well. One thing I do want to take your attention to is that Homer has 2 huddles on the sideline during the timeout. I've never seen that before. Looks like they've got an offensive huddle and a defensive huddle. That's interesting. Have you ever seen that, Sam?
I've never seen that, but as we discussed, Coach Tom Cottrell clearly knows what he's doing. And he has run a very successful program. In 2021, Homer lost in the sectional semifinals to the eventual finalist CBA, who JD beat. They had an 85.6 rating in 2019. In 2018, they were Section 3 runners-up to West Hill. They haven't won a sectional championship since 2012, but keep in mind that the least successful teams in Section 3 would be some of the most successful just about anywhere else in the country.
Exactly. It's so competitive. Just even having one sectional championship in the last decade is so impressive. It's a hotbed for lacrosse here in central New York.
Which is why it's so impressive that the Red Rams have won 14 of their last 15 sectional championships. West Hill was the only upset in 2018.
JD's almost a special case. They're an exception to the rule because there's no other team in the section that you could even compare them to.
Perhaps CBA, at least talent-wise. And that's I think the matchup we're hoping for in the semis, because what an incredible game it was last year in the finals. Long shot for Brazil, slinging it, but well defended once again by Ben Bradshaw.
And again, if I were him, I said this last time right before he scored a goal, so maybe there will be an announcer jinx here. I would take that exact same shot again. Breaking ankles.
Kessler broke one off the stick of Bates, back to Keeler. Bates to Keeler, swings round. Brazil decides against the shot, back to Keeler. Will he take it? Knocked out of his stick by Taven Malchik. And there's a scrum. The Red Rams recover it. Give the thanks to Luke Patchen. Now Brazil. Superman goal! Put a cape on him. He's up to 5.
I have never seen anything like this in my entire life of watching lacrosse. 5 goals, 4 of them from the exact same spot on the field, the 25-yard line on the left side of the ball. He is unguardable. And if you're Homer, there is no excuse for not defending him right there. You know he's going to shoot it. He shot it twice on that possession. How do you not defend that spot of the field?
If you'll indulge me, Tyler, Sam Brazel, you know what's coming, I think.
I know it's coming.
You know what's coming. Sam Brazel is on fire! And the shot by Alex Binsack tried to take one, and defended by Bradshaw.
So after a very slow first quarter, it hasn't been overly fast in the second quarter, but JD is in position to go into the half with a multi-goal lead.
1:01 on the clock, they're up by 2. No team has led by more than 2 this entire game so far. And to borrow some words from Mikey Meskos, this is a gritty game. Mikey, a big fan of the Philadelphia Flyers mascot. JD timeout. It's not often we see all 4 timeouts used up in one half.
No, I've never seen that. I've seen more halves where no timeouts have been called.
We haven't seen it all season. It's a good thing we got 8 graphics prepared. And so we talked about it a little bit earlier, but these are some of the players to watch for Homer today, and Hunter Reelman has certainly come out swinging for Homer. Jake Calabro's also got a goal on the day. Calabro, the Bentley commit that's a D2 school, he's got a very promising future. He's just behind the team lead in goals, and he leads the team in assists. Ben Bradshaw, we've seen him doing some nice things out there on the field today. He has 10 out of his 15 games with over a 500 save percentage, which is very respectable, especially for a sophomore.
He's made quite a few nice saves today. There have been some spots where, Sam Brazel has totally taken control, but it's almost impossible not to let that happen. Sam Brazel's had so many games this year where he's scored that many goals. In fact, today is his 5th game this season with 5+ goals. JD's undefeated when he scores that much.
And I'll give you another metric that Homer may have to hit. So we'll talk about it a little bit later. Homer has only beaten JD twice on record. They have not beaten them since 2009. But both of those wins are the only 2 games against JD where they have scored 10 or more goals. So if Homer hits 10 goals today, historically, they're in line for the win.
They are. They're not on track for 10 goals so far, and Ian McIntyre certainly doesn't have it in his plans to let up 10 goals. But I can totally see it happening. Both of these teams can get a spark plug in the second half and explode for a bunch of goals. I've seen crazier things happen.
For instance, the 2017 Sectional Championship, the last time these 2 teams played, which is 5 years ago, as JD will wait out the clock, try to get that last shot in. The Red Rams were down most of that game, ended up coming back in the 4th quarter and won by 1. Red Rams employing a weave with 20 seconds left. Keeler to Bates. Back to Keeler. 10 seconds. And Gannon Kessler lights up Bradshaw, putting an exclamation point on the half.
And we're finally seeing one of those fadeaway shots go in. And look, they finally decided to guard Sam Brazel out there in that far left corner. And now he knew how to take advantage of it. An easy pass. Kessler shot that one right in, snuck it past the goalie. This JD offense is gas right now.
That's Kessler's 40th goal of the season, Sam Brazel's 31st assist.
It's just so impressive. Sam Brazel, a lot of offensive players, a lot of attackers who can score like him are hesitant to pass it, but he knows that if the defender comes up on him, that's an easy goal for one of his teammates. He has no issue sharing the ball.
Homer gets the face-off. That's the end of the first half. And how many of those are sophomores, we should add?
Exactly. It's just ridiculous, this JD team. Look at Ian McIntyre. He always gets so energetic. You got to love it.
Oh, he must chug so much Red Bull before these games.
I can't imagine. I don't think I ever had that much energy that he's had.
No, I certainly haven't. I mean, that's why I'm up here and not down on the field. But one half down in this game, Tyler. What are your takeaways so far?
My takeaways is that Homer hasn't really adjusted defensively enough. You saw Sam Brazel, he scored 4 goals from the same spot in that second quarter, and they weren't defending him. They finally defend him at the end. No other adjustments on defense, and that's why Gannon Kessler had a wide open goal. There needs to be a lot more rotation. They need to move a lot more. Physicality is not enough for this Homer defense. They need to move themselves.
Speed tends to beat size. Good 8 times out of 10, I'd say. David tends to beat Goliath, and that's been what we've seen on the field so far from the Red Rams. They are just so quick out there. They're not the most physically imposing team, but they have so much speed and so much technique that they easily make up for that deficit. Now, we'll see what kind of halftime adjustments that Homer will make. By the way, don't forget to stick around after this game. We're going to have a quick little address about the future of JDTV, so you're not going to want to miss that. But we will see you back here in 9.5 minutes for the start of the second half. Don't go anywhere. 2, 1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Jamesville-DeWitt Central High School here in DeWitt, New York, for this Section 3 Class C quarterfinal matchup between the Homer Trojans and the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. JT currently up 6-3 over the Trojans, and most of this scoring really came in the last part of the second quarter, especially for Sam Brazel, who has been lighting it up. 5 goals so far today.
Such a performance from Sam Brazel, and I wouldn't be surprised if he set a new career high today. I believe last year he had a goal with 7 games. I think he's probably set to break that today.
The highest we've seen on JDTV, we saw Ethan Kesselring last year put up a 9-goal effort. Don't know if he'll be able to equal that, but he's on track for 10. Only question is, will he slow down at some point? And right now, I can tell you that Tucker Gabriel is not slowing down in the face-off department, as he has just been electric there.
And that's really something that can keep Homer in this game. It's a two-way win. One, it keeps the ball away from JD, especially Sam Brazel, and then 2, you're getting more opportunities to score. And when you only have 3 1/2, you need every opportunity you can get.
So now Homer trying to pick their shots carefully. They're down by 3. Swinging around was Reed Pardis. They get close, and McIntyre is still invincible.
I would like to say this is an out-of-character game for the Homer offense. They're on track for 6 goals in the game. Their lowest so far this season is 7 goals. So this would be their worst offensive performance of the year if it stays this way.
They average 12.6 goals per game. As there's a stop. McIntyre didn't even have to do it. How about that? That was Sam Bobrick. And now Keeler will take it across midfield. Keeler doing a lot of this himself, trying to wait out time for the line change as Aiden Bates now on the field. It is a very warm day here in DeWitt. Not a cloud in the sky. About 80 degrees on the forecast. Sam Brazel passes it to Goldberg, back to Brazel. Really, from that angle, it could be a pass, a shot. You never really know, and that's part of what makes him so dangerous. Keeler to Brazel. Looks like he's trying to spread the love around a little bit.
I love the patience. I love the circling around. JD's not going to shoot until they get a great opportunity here.
And Kessler has one! Gannon Kessler on one bounce past Ben Bradshaw.
There's that great opportunity they were looking for. That's Kessler's 2nd goal of the day. And may I add, that's Sam Brazel's 2nd assist of the day. He has 5 goals, 2 assists. He's been involved in every single goal for the Red Rams.
Have yourself a game, why don't you? And hey, the Red Rams get themselves a face-off. Mario Strife comes up with it. Now Strife has to fend off Calabro. And he will instead send it out to Kessler.
Calabro is such a true midfielder because we've been saying his name so much on defense today, but he has 44 goals on the season. You don't really see too many midfielders truly play both ways and be dominant on both ends. He's got to be the closest guy to it for either of these teams.
No wonder he's a Bentley commit. And nothing doing for Ian Delpha. Whistle blown. There's a flag on the field. If I had to judge from the crowd reaction, that's probably on Homer.
Looked like a...
1 minute for slashing for Homer.
Exactly. Looked like a slashing penalty. That's going to be... Can't quite tell who that is. Looks like number 11, which I don't see on their roster.
I believe that's Hunter Reelman.
Gotcha.
Which is much worse for Homer, as he has 2 of their 3 goals today.
That's no good for them, especially if JD can take this opportunity to extend the lead even more.
So Matt Keeler calling a play out to Kessler. And Kessler loads up, fires, and scores. A shotgun blast close to the goal.
Oh my goodness.
And now Gannon Kessler is the second Red Ram with a hat trick.
And of course, the pass came from none other than Sam Brazel. Such vision through 3 defenders that could have picked off the pass, but no, they didn't even know where it was going, and Kessler finished it off with speed and talent there. There's a reason he's going to Boston University to play lacrosse.
5 goals and 3 assists for Sam Brazel. 3 goals today for Gannon Kessler. And, you know, I was going to say that it's been of note, Kessler's still a junior, by the way, even though he's committed to BU, that Kessler has been okay with kind of, I would say, taking a step back and allowing Sam Brazel to shine this season, being more of a facilitator.
But Sam Brazel passes it so much, he makes sure everyone gets involved that he's going to get his. Kessler's going to get his opportunities. It's not like he's not going to get the ball at all.
Yeah, it's something to say that it looks like Kessler's taken a step back when he has 42 goals and 26 assists on the season.
It's not a player 1, player 2 situation. It's a 1A, 1B situation.
I would say that for sure. I would say that Kessler's been one to take resources away from Brazel to allow him to score. As that shot by Mario Strife was cut off before it even began, and we have a player down on the field. A rough blow there for Evan Butts.
Looks like he took a stick right to the chest. Hopefully the wind was just knocked out of him and nothing more, but
He's walking back under his own power, so good
Exactly.
things, hopefully.
But as I said at right before halftime, Homer needed to make some adjustments on defense. There, they get a stop there. Get some adjustments on defense, not just stopping Sam Brazel, but also making sure the rest of the defense rotates so that someone else can't finish the job he started. And they haven't really been able to do that. They've been guarding Sam Brazel even more, which is a good start. But Kessler's been wide open on the pass, so they can't seem to guard both of them.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. I think teams this season have seen Gannon Kessler and said, oh, Boston University commit, better guard him, which has led to so many opportunities for Sam Brazel, when really they are equally dangerous. It's kind of like, you know, they say why Roger Maris was able to break Babe Ruth's record in 1961 is because he was hitting right before Mickey Mantle. And so who would you rather pitch away to, Maris or Mantle?
It's a decision you don't even want to have to make.
And so it's the same thing here between Kessler and Brazel. Is, okay, if I got to get one of them out, I'm going to give up something to the other. Who's it going to be? Most of these teams are opting for the sophomore instead of the Boston University commit.
And I don't know if I'd agree with that decision, especially for Homer, because Brazel can pass the ball so well, probably even better than Kessler. And that ability to facilitate, pass the ball, get assists, makes him even more dangerous if he has the open ball and can distribute. If they suffocate him, they suffocate a lot of the movement in that Red Rams offense.
I would say that Brazel's the better passer, but it's not like Kessler's a slouch with 26 assists on the season, too.
Absolutely not.
Like I said, it's more of a 1A, 1B type thing. As Homer trying to come around, knocked down to the ground is Hunter Reelman. And Ben Skellinger asserting his will upon him, though there's a whistle. Ben Skellinger has really come into his own as an extremely physical player now. Ian McIntyre once again playing to the crowd. He would make such a good professional wrestler.
He doesn't quite have the size. He certainly has the energy and the persona, though.
You don't need the size anymore.
It's a good point.
Could be a cruiserweight. Rey Mysterio. No, I don't think he's a micro. I don't think we'll see Ian McIntyre replacing Hornswoggle anytime soon. Now Sam Bieber passing it around. Homer just trying to find any opportunity And they generate one, but McIntyre just too much. The passing for Homer going around so quick you can't even see who's taking the shots, but it doesn't matter when Ian McIntyre is in the net.
And that was a heck of a clear by John Clinton because McIntyre came out of the net to make a defensive play, and there was an opportunity there for Homer to score, but Clinton made sure that no one would get that chance.
And looks like a Homer timeout now. JD timeout, excuse me. But JD can afford to do so. They're rolling right now. Let's talk a little bit about the history between these two teams. This is the 15th time these two teams have met. Of course, our records only go back to 2008, but at least according to that, what we have, this is the 15th time ever. JD leads the series 12-2, with the last time Homer won was March 28th, 2009. What is that, 13 years?
13 years ago.
The average score is a 13-7 JD victory, and as we've talked about all game, the last time these two teams met was a 10-9 JD victory in the 2017 Section 3 Championships. Now, we can say that Homer has beaten their all-time low against JD of 2 goals scored in 2011, but JD is certainly not going to allow many more than that at this rate.
No, and like I said earlier, it looks like Homer might set their season low in goals. They've scored 7 twice, never less than that. I will say those 7 goals were against some pretty good squads in New Hartford and CBA, but JD's probably even a better defensive team than those 2 squads, so it definitely makes sense the struggles Homer's been having offensively.
And as we mentioned, Homer has won both games that they have scored 10 or more goals against JD, and they're not looking to be on pace for that right now. They won him 15-10 and 10-6. JD's high, by the way, of all time was March 28th, 2013. They had 20 goals in that contest against Homer.
Wow.
But especially those early 2010s teams of Jamesville-DeWitt, just legendary.
Back-to-back undefeated seasons, state championships.
Number 1 in the country those 2 years.
If you listened to us at all last year, you would have heard the voice of Brad Diamond.
Was part of those teams.
Was part of those faithful JD teams.
Of course, last year, JD ranked number 69 in the entire country, which is a very nice place to be. This year, they are 579th. Excuse me, that's Homer. JD is 506th.
I mean, JD has lost so much talent. You look, Tanner Burns playing over at Brown, Johnny Kibe playing for Yale, one of the best teams in the country, and playing very well for them as a freshman. A few All-Americans on that JD team last year. There's just so much talent that they lost.
J-Mo McLaughlin, the 2-time All-American who's at Stony Brook. Didn't you say he got Player of the Week a couple weeks ago?
He got All-Conference Player of the Week a few times.
Little kick there from Matt Keeler to get the ball out of harm's way. Aiden Bates now. And of course Scott Reeves and Ethan Kesselring, both who are now teammates at St. John Fisher, the best D3 school in the country for lacrosse. Brazel sent it to Keeler, decides against the shot. Kessler loads up and sails that well over the goal. Is he trying to take a shot or play 500?
I don't know. It's sometimes when you've got a lot of strength, a lot of power, it's tough to tone it in. It reminds me of Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes early in their careers when they would sail the ball way over their wide receivers' heads.
Kessler recovers the ball there. Sent out to Bates. Keeler, Brazel, low and inside, got him. Number 6, the double hat trip for Sam Brazel.
And so amazing, he got that one from back and to the left. We've been saying that all game. I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's just insane how accurate he is from one spot. And it's really dismaying if you're a Homer fan that they can't seem to guard one area on the field.
Well, from the way that Sam Brazel is playing, I mean, you can't feel too bad. It doesn't matter what team you throw at him. He's just going to be this way. He's got 6 goals.
He's going to get his no matter what, and he's going to get some good passes too.
6 goals, 3 assists. That's 9 total points today. I mean, that's a triple hat trick. How often do you see someone with 3 hats on top of their head?
Almost never.
You were talking last game about caps for sale. He's a peddler. Now the Red Rams can afford to slow it down a little bit as they are up by 6 in this sectional quarterfinal matchup.
So this is Brazel's 4th game this year with 6 goals in a game. That's impressive that it's happened this many times. 4 double hat tricks. Is that 8 hats, I believe?
Something like that. Is Kessler nearly put in another off the stick of Bradshaw. Fighting for it, trying to get one more chip in. A big hit to the back from Brer Wakula.
But it worked because there was some pushing from Homer, and JD's going to get possession. Great hustle by them, staying over there, not giving up on the play.
Wakula, by the way, 6'3", 198. He's one of those beastly defensemen for the Trojans. Mario Strife passes it out. Going round to Matt Keeler. Lets it rip. Underhanded shot wide to the left. Three minutes left in the third quarter. Matt Keeler gets close, tries the one hopper, and the first hop was on target. The second hop went off to the left.
It's like when you catch a nasty lip at the third baseline, pops right over the third baseman's head. This time it popped over the goal as well.
And a very high pass to Ian Delpha, though he recovers it. Once again, we thank each and every one of you for joining us here on JDTV, live exclusively for this game. We will have one more game for you this season. On Tuesday, the girls' quarterfinal matchup, JD versus New Hartford. And that's sure to be a good one as well. As Mario Strife hits the stick off the post. He let it rip, though. You could have called that, you could have said that was the wind.
Not much wind today at all. It's a hot, slow.
I would disagree. That flag is waving out there pretty well.
You're right, you're right.
We can't see the flag from where we're sitting.
We're also inside, so we can't feel the breeze.
This is true. Could use some, though. It's blowing away from us, and it is very hot outside, and this air conditioner is working overtime. Calabro gets it a little bit closer. Partis takes the shot, and McIntyre with the save.
You almost lost possession, but quickly got it back, and JD's moving quick to the other end.
Behind the back pass, sets up Luke Patchen. What a beauty! Boom shakalaka!
Oh my goodness! No hesitation, immediately when it hits his stick, Sam Brazel gets the pass, and what a finish too.
Eli Goldberg!
And that's some of that fancy play we were talking about that Coach Archer loves to encourage. If you can do it, if you can handle it, it looks very pretty when it works.
Eli Goldberg. Beautiful goal, his 21st of the season. And the 4th assist of the day for Sam Brazel. He's up to 34. And down 7, we now have to start asking the question, what can stop the Red Rams?
Looks like almost nothing at this point.
Certainly not with McIntyre in the goal. Stops another shot. 45 seconds remain in the third quarter. I mean, this is an early morning contest, but the way the Red Rams are playing, it'll wake you up. Wake me up inside.
I'm certainly wide awake right now, not falling asleep anytime soon.
"15 seconds, and Keeler waiting out the clock, realizing he's got to start going now. Tough defense from the Trojans, and the pass sails well over his intended target, Aiden Bates. Clock stops at 3 seconds. Homer ball, but, 3 seconds to get a goal in. I think it's fair to say 10-3 is going to be the final score for the third quarter.
That's what it looks like. And a complete switch in the style and result from that first quarter.
And the Red Rams are vibing. 10-3. They are cruising in the express lane and hoping to break this one even further open come the fourth quarter. And like we've talked about all game, Tyler, the turning point has been Sam Brazel. 6 goals, 4 assists. Have we ever seen a 10-point stat line on JDTV?
Not in my memory. In that 9-goal game, maybe Ethan Kesselring had an assist or two, maybe.
Maybe, but usually those goals were unassisted. He just took it himself.
He wasn't much of a passer.
No, he wasn't. He didn't have to be.
With no discredit to him whatsoever.
He put up All-American numbers, so no one's gonna discredit. He put up as many goals as Johnny Kibe, who was an All-American. So, you know what? If you can score like that, you don't need to be a passer. But yeah, he may not have had 10 points that game. Hold off for a minute. Don't need one. That's fine. 10 points. It's just something to dwell on because, when was the last time you saw it? When do you ever see that at this level or any other?
It's just so dominant. I saw a few performances from Tucker Dordovic this year for Syracuse men's lacrosse. Megan Tyrell and Emily Harris-Chuck might have had a 10-point game for Syracuse women's lacrosse, but we're talking about some of the best programs in the country barely putting up those numbers, and Sam Brazel, just a sophomore, taking over this game.
It is scary to think what he'll be like as a junior or a senior.
And as we're talking,
he'll be crossing 60 goals easily. He's about to cross 60 goals this year.
Yeah, we were talking about his development on last week against ESM, just pointing out where he stacks up against former JD players. Last year when he was a freshman, he scored 38 goals, which is the most as a freshman for this JD program since Griffin Cook in 2015, who had the same 38 goals. Griffin Cook, now a starter for Syracuse lacrosse, one of the best programs in the country. So if he stays on that track, he's got a bright future ahead of him, and he does no matter what. Obviously, those are some big shoes to fill, but Brazel has a star career ahead of him.
Yeah, you have to imagine that he's going to be looking possibly SU. I don't think anyone from JD is going to go to Duke. I'd hope not.
You can't blame them if they do, though. Duke had a much better year than Syracuse this year. Obviously,
Syracuse has had
they were in a transition year.
Bad year. He could go Maryland if he wanted to. Sam Brazel is going to be a lacrosse powerhouse for years to come. I think that's pretty much guaranteed. Barring some catastrophic disaster. And it's a disastrous day for Ben Bradshaw as Aiden Bates puts up his 17th goal of the year. It is 11-3.
After 3 quarters, someone else had to get involved. There's an unassisted goal from Aiden Bates. He decided to take it himself. He did that a few times in the basketball season where, he'd bring the ball up. Sometimes he played that point guard position, and he would just take it himself. That's basically what he did there.
Well, he was the best three-point shooter on the JD basketball team this year, who went all the way to the sectional finals. You could argue him or Anthony Stickle. Bates, also a volleyball athlete, did very well there. One thing you got to admit about this JD team, they have athletes. They may not be the biggest, but their conditioning and their technique is just second to none, and that is why they are so successful in every sport that they attempt, except for football.
We don't talk about JD football.
Well, we don't have a football team right now, so we can't.
That's a good point.
So technically, yes, they're successful in every sport.
Yeah. The JD track team has been quite successful this year. We have 2 members of that squad in the studio right now.
That's true. Mikey Meskos, Nick Dekaney, as there's a shot off the mark. I mean, what were we saying before the game? That the only winning move is not to play?
Sounds pretty accurate right now.
JD, one of the best athletic programs in the entirety of New York State. And shot off the mark for Hunter Reelman, who got 2 early goals. There's a penalty here. But after those 2 early goals, Reelman's really struggled to put anything together. The Red Rams defense has fully coagulated.
And the physicality of that defense is a big part of it. They knew they fouled him on that shot, but they're okay going to the sideline, taking a man-down situation, as long as they're taking an easy goal away from him. It's a smart play because they know that they can handle playing down a man.
Plus, it's only a 30-second penalty, which compared to the 2 minutes we saw earlier is nothing. And look at the body language of the Red Rams defense. It's like they're playing like they still have an extra man. There's no nerves on them at all. And Jay Calabro let it loose with everything he had, but it wasn't enough.
Interesting decision there to take a shot from the top of the key, not work it around a little bit more. When you have an extra man, it makes so much sense to work it around a lot more and mix up the defense.
Well, they only have 30 seconds. He must be aware of it. And Ian McIntyre will not allow Hunter Reelman to get any more on the board. Right in his face, and he still comes up victorious.
I think today we found out the answer about who wins between an unstoppable force and an immovable object. It seems like the immovable object that is the Red Rams defense will win every single time.
Couldn't have said it better, although now I'm thinking about it, and I mean, the unstoppable force doesn't have to move the immovable object, it has to go through it. So you could, the immovable object could not move, but the unstoppable force could still win.
I would say the unstoppable force is not winning today.
Not today. Only on JD TV will you get talks about paradoxes. Off the mark pass. The Red Rams passing has been one of their weaker points this season, and I think the real reason why their offense has not been as explosive as previous years. Red Rams could be doing a lot better on the offensive end if their passing was just a little bit more firmed up. And passing, one of those fundamentals, regardless of the sport, that is easy to learn but very hard to master. And like we said, many of these players, athletes, a lot of these guys, believe it or not, this is their first year playing lacrosse.
Yeah.
At least on the varsity level, they played it as kids, but not in high school, as there's a turnover. And Ben Skellinger, excuse me, that was Sam Bobrick. I was really hoping for a Skellinger goal.
He had one last game.
He did, but I want to see it. We gotta will it into existence. We gotta put it out there and see what happens.
I mean, this is the time of game. Just 8 minutes left, up 8 goals. JD might let some of their defensive players make that trek onto the other side of the field, take a shot. Maybe even an Ian McIntyre situation. Maybe that'll have to happen a little bit later.
I mean,
who knows?
We're seeing Andrew Laubenstein, the freshman, on the field right now. That's number 11. He's at midfield. Just called up today. And stuffed is Bryce Hoffman.
Stuffed is Bryce Hoffman. The way you're
Or
talking.
that's Logan Goodman, excuse me. Couldn't see the number.
Well, the way you're talking might remind me of one of the international days that it is. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes. Picked up at midfield by Michael Stiles. Seven minutes left. Homer's going to have to go on a historic tear to come back for this one.
And I'm just not seeing much urgency from them at all.
They haven't played urgent all game. I mean, just look at the face-offs. You know, face-offs are not just about getting possession, but it's a tempo setter. And we've seen the slowest face-offs of the entire season. This is a slow, methodical team, and it just does not lend itself to being down by 8 goals. So Hunter Reelman will wait it out behind the X. Watching precious seconds slip away. It's been 30 seconds, I haven't taken a shot. And McIntyre stops once they finally do. You're wasting so much precious time, 30 seconds on offense for one shot, which is immediately shut down.
It's almost like they're waving the white flag. They're trying to get some goals, but it seems like they have no intention of making this a close game.
No, I mean, with this numbers advantage, the Trojans have said this is going to be no battle of Thermopylae here. This is just, we're going to wait this one out. It would have been better if it was the Homer Spartans, I just realized. Never mind. My Greek history professor would be ashamed of me. And the whistle finally blows after a massive hit. Looks like a timeout. JD's final timeout. And as you mentioned, Tyler, let's take a look at what day it is today. Today is National Armed Forces Day, day to salute our brave men and women in uniform. It is also National Learn to Swim Day. Do you know how to swim, Tyler?
I do know. I'd love to hop in the water today with how hot it is.
Yeah,
perfect day to swim.
It would be a great day to swim today. No clouds, too. And it is also Talk Like Yoda Day it is.
And that's exactly how you've been working that into your broadcast for the last few minutes. Now, is it Talk Like Yoda or is it Talk Like Baby Yoda?
Oh, Talk Like Yoda.
Okay. Well, I might prefer Baby Yoda if we're being completely honest.
To be honest, I haven't finished the first season of The Mandalorian. Does he actually start talking?
I haven't seen The Mandalorian, and I still like Baby Yoda better. That's my hot take.
That is a hot take. I like original Yoda. And then there's a few people out there who probably prefer Yaddle as the female Yoda.
I forgot she even existed, honestly.
Oh, you want obscure. The other, just to show you the depths of my Star Wars nerddom, the other member of Yoda's species is Vandar Tokar, who was a Jedi Master during the Knights of the Old Republic, 4,000 years before Episode 4.
Wow. Do you want me to surprise you with my Star Wars knowledge?
Please do.
I've seen one Star Wars movie. That's it.
Oh, we got to get you some more. How can you have not seen at least the first 6?
Just hasn't happened. I've been too busy watching this JD Lacrosse team.
Well, that's fair, but after this game, we got to get you on a Star Wars marathon. I love Star Wars. We got a person in the comments claiming that JD is not going to win Class C. I don't know. From the way they're playing today, they've certainly got a chance. I mean, obviously, CBA and West Hill are going to put up some incredible fights. It's going to be a close sectional tournament no matter what.
I don't see many more games ending with an 8-goal deficit for either side, like we've seen today.
That's 100% true, but just judging on the quality of the JD defense today, they've been able to shut down some incredible offenses, and that could be a turning point against a team like West Hill or CBA. Pushed back, and McIntyre makes the easy stop as that shot came off balance.
Another great defensive play. Just nothing coming by for the Red Rams.
Homer is taking their time with these shots, and they're setting him up, but They're taking so long, and McIntyre, even once they set one up, is just able to completely stonewall them. They haven't scored since the first half.
They haven't. And while this is an out-of-character performance for the Homer offense, this is just one game on a great resume by JD's defense. They allowed only 3 versus Auburn, 2 versus Fulton, 4 versus West Genesee, 2 versus Cortland, 3 versus Cortland, 0 versus Oswego. They've allowed so few goals so many times. I think I might have incorrectly added West Genesee to that list.
Yes, that was JD's score.
This is the 5th or 6th game that they've allowed 5 or fewer goals.
There's a flag on the field. I don't know if there's a penalty or if no one remembered to pick that up. I think they just forgot to pick it up from earlier.
Matt Keeler picked it up.
Nice toss, and the referee missed it.
There's a reason he's not on the field.
That's true.
Well, he is on the field, just not
he's not
participating.
Playing. Also, you don't have to catch fly balls in lacrosse, so maybe he's just not used to it.
True.
You won't see an umpire miss that. And once again, 3:40 on the clock, and Homer just not playing with much sense of urgency.
I mean, now I believe everyone knows the ship has sailed, but even for the entire 4th quarter, just no aggressiveness from Homer.
McIntyre with yet another stop. You gotta be playing till the final whistle, especially if your season is going to end with this game. You gotta go out with nothing left in the tank.
You'd love to see some aggressiveness, some fight left in the dog, but I don't know. Seems like Homer's season is not ending with a roar. It's ending with a whimper.
3 minutes left. Not a single goal in the second half for the Homer Trojans. They had 2 in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter. And that's been it.
And such credit to the JD defense, too. It's not... I mean, it's a little bit of Homer having an off game, but JD's defense has just been so dominant, even with 2 players out, 1 player out. They've completely shut down Homer.
And credit to the Red Rams, too, playing with less urgency than before. They're only going to take this shot if they really find one. Mostly just passing it around. They just held on to the ball for a good 30 seconds without doing anything. It's a sportsman thing to do.
It's sportsman. It's also smart because you don't want to give Homer another chance to score, even though the game is already well within grasp. You don't want to see their score total go up any higher. Might as well hold it as long as you can.
Very true. That's Gannon Kessler, who fires one. Where did that ball even go? Not even Bradshaw realized where it went.
Looks like it might have rebounded off his stick way downtown, but Sam Brazel's going to be the one that ends up with it.
1:45, and Brazel will slow it down to get that standing ovation from the crowd. And they are standing here at the JD Stadium.
The players are standing too. They're not moving at all, just complete standstill.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that immediately following this game, in a minute and a half or so, we'll have a quick word on the future of JD TV, an important announcement, so don't miss that.
We do live news, breaking news, hard news. We do a great little combination here at JD TV.
Yeah, we cover all our bases as there's 1 minute left.
And a timeout, seems like.
With 1:03 on the clock.
I don't know exactly what the reason is there. They might take a chance to sub in some players on both sides.
Homer has the timeouts remaining, it looks like. So I think at this point, if you are Coach Tom Cottrell, this is really a timeout to crystallize. It's not to talk strategy, it's to talk the end of the season. And this is a reflection point for this team. This is to say, hey, we got this far, we did this well, we didn't take it in the end, but we sure did a great job while we were here. And sometimes you see coaches taking timeouts at the end of games as a learning opportunity, essentially, to build character.
And one thing that definitely denotes it as a different timeout, earlier in the game I commented Homer had 2 separate huddles during their timeouts, split up offense, defense. They have different strategies. It makes sense This time out, they all huddled together as one team, probably for the last time this year. And certainly not a year to sneeze at for Homer. Obviously, JD came out on top today, but a really solid record for Homer. Solid games, solid performances. They're sending Calabro to a great D2 school.
They're coming back with a lot of their stars. And, you feel for a program like Homer. They're most likely going to finish the year 10-6, a good record. And the unfortunate thing about playoffs is that each game, someone's season has to end. And you hate to see it, but it's just how it works. And so the Red Rams will play monkey in the middle for now. Just try to wind out this clock, get some wind sprints in. 30 seconds. I'm amazed Sam Brazel had the energy to keep doing those runs right there. And hats off to Mario Strife. 10 seconds. The sun sets on Homer's season, and that's all she wrote. The Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams have defeated the Homer Trojans 11-3, advancing to the sectional semifinals, which will be held Tuesday at Central Square.
And this JD team, the way they just played, looks like they can beat almost anyone. Obviously, they're not going to play this well every time, but they have all the momentum in the world these last few games. They have won 7 of their last 8 contests.
They are still
8 of their last 9 now.
And they are still yet to lose against a single Class C team. And they have all the experience in the world playing some of the best teams in the state, taking on West Genesee, taking on Victor. And they didn't win those, but they learned so much. And that's why I think they got all of those big games out at the beginning of the season, because they took what they could from it. And since they've been playing almost exclusively in conference, they have just been lights out. Worthy of, once again, being the best team in Section 3 Class C.
And I don't know who that is. We're going to see his number soon. That's 36.
Taven
Malchik. That's his last game as a high school athlete. He took a knee down at the center of the field. And that just kind of speaks to how difficult it is to finish your career on a loss. Most athletes will finish their career on a loss, just the way playoffs are structured.
You go out on your back. It's just how you do it. But, I can tell you something about going out on a win. Because, unfortunately, I didn't have anything prepared for this. I just kind of had a general idea. And you know what? So the people at home can see me. The first time all season, I'll take this off. Because, is it all right if I give myself a brief spotlight, Tyler?
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, this is my last on-air appearance for JDTV. And this program has meant everything to me for 3 years, and that's no exaggeration. 3 years I've been running this program, doing my best to put together the best high school broadcast in New York State, if not the country. 3 years of trying to give back to the next generation, to give back to these 3 fine young broadcasters here who, when I was in high school, I never got that chance. I didn't have a mentor who I could work alongside, who I could learn from actively day in and day out, and I'm so happy to be able to give that opportunity to the next generation here. But all good things must come to an end. We know that I'm heading to Tulsa, Oklahoma in just a few weeks to become a multimedia journalist with KTUL, 61st largest market in the entire United States. It's an incredible opportunity. I'm so happy. I'm the first person in U.S. history to say I am so happy to be moving to Oklahoma. But, I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of weeks just reflecting on what we've done here with JDTV. I wrote down a couple of statistics just, just to think it over. This is our 106th game since we switched over from the NFHS network to doing these games on YouTube. 106. 52 of those have had more than 500 viewers, which for high school is absolutely insane. That is more than some Syracuse University broadcasts. We have had 81,500 viewers over the past 3 years. Those 81,500 people have watched 12,500 hours of JDTV in 10 different countries around the world. And to take a step back and think about the kind of success we've had with this program is just mind-blowing. The things we've been able to do, the things we've been able to bring you day in and day out on this broadcast is truly humbling, honestly. And of all the people I have to thank you the most, the fans, the viewers, because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be here. No point broadcasting if you've got no audience. Though, Lord knows I tried when I was in high school. And I have to thank all three of these guys here, Tyler Aitken, Nick Dekaney, Mikey Meskos, because it's looking like these guys are going to be the ones to carry the torch, keep JDTV in good hands come next year. And I am leaving it in very capable hands, I will admit. These guys are some of the best young broadcasters I've had a chance to mentor. And, you know, I've mentored quite a few in my time, but these guys definitely 100% stand amongst the best. And so I will be here Tuesday for our final game, the girls' quarterfinals against New Hartford. I will be producing, so you will not hear or see me during that game. So I wanted to be able to say my goodbyes today. And I'm not one to cry, but I can promise you I'm very emotional right now. I shed a tear or two last night, I'll admit. So it's not goodbye forever, it's just goodbye for now. I did not go to Jamesville-DeWitt. I went to high school in Florida, as many of us know, but I will now and forever be a Red Ram. Thank you so much for your continued patronage this season, the past two, the entirety of JDTV's existence. It has meant the world to me. And so on behalf of all three of these guys here and everyone here at JDTV, have a very good rest of your day wherever you may be.